Hello, I'm Jamie Martin, and today I'm here at the Fisher organisation. I'm going to be interviewing Stephen Katz about insolvency. What does your job entail from, let's just say, from when a point that a director feels that he might be in trouble and comes to see you?
My job really is to meet with the directors in the first instance and make a very rapid assessment of their business, the stage that it's at, whether it's insolvent, whether it can survive, and whether it can't survive.
Okay. And typically at the moment, there's a credit crunch, or so the media say. Obviously we know that banks aren't lending like they were and that certain criteria have changed. How are you finding that your clients are essentially seeing this affect them in terms of their relationships that they have with their banks?
What we're seeing at the moment, Jamie, is that there's a shortage of capital in the marketplace, and I think there's no secret about that. The banks are not lending to each other, and that means that there is very little money available for directors who need to close their existing companies and perhaps rebuy the assets of those companies back and try and restart their businesses.
Okay. So that's typically known as a phoenix, isn't it?
In the trade it's known as a phoenix, yes. And the phoenix rising from the ashes is an expression that's used quite a lot in insolvency terms. It's actually something that's been encouraged quite a lot by this government over the last 10 years. There's a rescue culture which they help develop and promote in this country, and that is there to try and encourage people to restart their businesses, to entrepreneurs to take risk, and if they fail, to be able to come back and restart another business quite quickly and easily with an availability of capital. Unfortunately at the moment that capital's dried up.
Right. So how typically at the moment, what changes have now happened in the way people make decisions and what they do, versus this capital dry up? Because obviously people still have to operate, people still have to live, and so what main changes are you seeing in the marketplace?
What we're seeing at the moment is what would 3 or 4 months ago have been termed desperation. We're seeing people borrowing money at very high rates of interest for short periods in the hope that things will come back and they'll be able to refinance with a more mainstream financier within that period. So that there's a degree of desperation coming into the marketplace.
Is this affecting big companies, or is it only affecting SME, small to medium-sized enterprises?
This is affecting big companies. A lot of the big companies are currently supported by consumer spending, members of the public. There's a lot of service industries in this country. There's a lot of retail units and shops and concerns in this country, and they are suffering. Marks and Spencer's this week,
yes,
reported 25% lower sales.
And it took 25% off their share price. I read the same article.
And I think even this morning there was an article on the radio stating that the service sector is starting to suffer. People's disposable income is diminishing. Spending is now focused more towards mortgage payments, fuel costs, food, which are all rising very substantially, and people's disposable income is diminishing, and that's going to hit the pubs, clubs and restaurant sector quite badly, which we're already seeing. We've done a number of jobs in that sector over the last 6 months, and it's going to knock on into the retail sector, which is having a very tough time, as everyone knows at the moment as well.
What type of state, or how bad are the debts and the level of insolvency before someone actually walks in here and puts their cards on the table and asks for help?
Yeah, well, unless people are experienced businessmen or women, they tend not to phone me up and say, I think I'm going to have a problem in 6 months' time. Your average company director is not a qualified person, other than by experience. There's no set of exams in this country to set a minimum standard for company directors. So that a lot of people don't know when they should be recognising the signs or seeing the signs that they're in trouble. A lot of companies, certainly in the SME, and by that I mean the small family company sector.
Would you call that under $1 million turnover a year, or under 3?
I'd say under 3 million. A lot of companies in that sector are run by families, fathers, wives, sons, maybe other family members in the business, and they run primarily for the benefit of the family. You have a number of generations of the family living off the business, and there's a certain embarrassment factor. The patriarch of the family doesn't want the rest of the family to see him fail. There's a lot of pride involved. Matrimonial homes may be on the line in terms of security for the banks who are lending money to the business. There will be personal guarantees in place with leasing companies and other asset-based finance companies to support the business. And people will genuinely be worried about losing their homes, facing the prospect of bankruptcy, assets within the business not being worth as much in the marketplace as they're worth to that family. And therefore there's a genuine pressure on that family to almost stick their head in the sand. And we generally in our business say that people always arrive at our door 3 to 6 months too late.
So how do you approach these people? I mean, what skills do you have to have in your job to be able to even deal with them in a way that allows them to have some chance of mentally being able to carry on after the event?
I think the first skill that you need to be able to do this job successfully is to understand the people, understand where they are, where the pressure points are. You secondly need to be able to give them some confidence and some comfort that there are methods and procedures available that can help them get through this. And although it may involve them losing a bit of pride, which is inevitable in a situation like this, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to lose the house, they're going to lose the car, or they're going to lose their wife or the rest of their family. And it's very often, it's a bit like going to the dentist. The anticipation is worse than the cure for some people.
Okay, so for our viewers that are watching, what I want to do is maybe give some top line run through on the lingo we've been using. So for instance, what's a liquidation?
A liquidation is a legal procedure by which a company is killed. There's only 2 or 3 methods of legally killing a company in this country. It's a legal entity, it's born by being formed and put on the register of companies, and it can either be dissolved by order of the registrar of companies, it can be dissolved by order of the court, or it can be liquidated formally.
Okay, and what's a phoenix or a stop and a start, as it were? What's that?
A phoenix is generally the procedure by which a company is closed, be it via a liquidation or one of the other procedures that's available to us. And following that, the directors and the people whose business it was are able to buy back the assets of that company, but without the baggage of the debts that were on over the company. So they can leave their creditors behind in a legal way, and they can restart the business and hopefully take it forward to be successful.
So the government know that phoenixes exist, or obviously if you're a creditor of the previous company, some people do get slightly up in arms over that. Is it possible when someone's in the middle of a phoenix that if someone else comes along and offers more than they're prepared to offer on the business, that the insolvency practitioner dealing with the case would have to go with the higher offer?
There is always the possibility. There are no guarantees in our business. We always tell directors there are no guarantees. There is always a small chance that someone will find out about the liquidation or the insolvency of the company and come forward and offer for that business. However, the desirability in the marketplace of most small family-run companies is very limited, especially when cash flow in the cycle is limited as well.
What advice would you give to a young entrepreneur or even an older entrepreneur or someone in a job who's thinking of starting a business? What advice would you give them about what they need to do before they invest their money and embark on their venture?
I think the key point about business failure is the reasons that are given when, if you attend any insolvency lecture or seminar, there's 3 reasons: management, management, management. So the key to starting a business is get yourself some knowledge, find out what's needed, do some research, read some books, understand the law about running a company and what's needed to run a business, and try and make sure that you prepare a proper business plan with your accountants and that the business is properly funded. Many businesses do actually fail because they're underfunded from the start, and that's because people have very good ideas but no cash.
Okay, well, we'll be talking about how one can raise money later on in our series, but for now, Stephen, maybe we'll come back and talk to you another time, but for now, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.